Hi, everybody. This is Bonnie from Therap. We'll get started here in just a few minutes. Want to give others time to attend. We had several registrants, and we're about a quarter of a way there, third of a way there. So we'll just wait another minute or so. So please be patient. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, my name is Bonnie Sorrells, and today you are attending the attendance billing overview from setup to reports. With me today is my colleague and friend Devin Hardy. I'm a training and implementation specialist with Therap, and I also provide some assistance to our billing team. This webinar will be recorded and is available for future reference on our website. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I need to know, Devin, if everybody sees what they're seeing. It didn't give me an option to what I'm sharing. Okay, now I think I've got it. So you should see the attendance overview guide that we have.
Yes, Bonnie, you're showing.
Okay, thank you. So you can search our website for any guides simply by typing in what you're looking for. And this billing attendance overview guide has everything that you need to start with your billing. I'm gonna move that back out of the way. Okay. So the main goal for the attendance module is easy and accurate entry of program attendance data. We're going to start from the very beginning with how to set this up in your system, to setting up a service authorization, to actually inputting the information and then running a couple of reports on that. Hopefully we can get through all of that today without taking too much of your time. So it is a really pretty page, color coded for easy viewing. And like other Therap modules, it supports multi-level access privilege for everybody that uses it. You do have some privileges that have to be assigned. And under your roles, you have to have attendance data submit, which means you want to give that to the individuals who are actually going to enter the attendance data. It's like your DSPs, the ones who are saying they're present or absent. You will have attendance data approval, which is approve attendance data and submit it for billing. You'll have an update option and a view option. Okay, so just real quickly to show you what that looks like, under your admin and your user privileges. That is not right. It is super role. I am so sorry. Super role and manage. You'll see it right here. These are the roles that you would need to give the individuals that will be using this. So they'll have access to that. Oops, sorry. Wrong thing. Okay. So the one thing I do want you to take away from today is that every time you open a guide for Therap, you're going to see what your users are going to need. So the first thing that we're going to do is create attendance types. And right here over on the side, we're going to go to create attendance type. And in that, you're going to see that users with the billing role, admin role, which is on your manage your user privileges, that's what they're going to have on the billing admin tab in order to be able to create this attendance type. Okay. So just real quickly, I'm going to show you how to create that attendance type. Again, it is on your admin tab. And we're going to go to attendance type and new. It's broken down into 3 sections. You have your basic, your advanced, and then the options for your advanced roles. You have to put in a type. So if we just want to call this we're going to call this attendance for Holly Springs Residential, and we should really spell that right. And if we just want to track whether the individual is present or absent, to just record that, we are going to click no on use the time in and out. To keep track of, if you need to keep track of the service duration for the billing or documentation purpose, you need to make it yes required. Okay, and then they'll have to put in the time in and time out. That also changes your choices on further down the page. We're going to click no on this, and we're going to come down here to our options, and we would just make present with a code. It's 1 billing unit because it's just for the day. We don't need a time in and time out. And we would make absent with 0 billing units and make it not billable. And then we would click save. And you would have that for just an entry on absent or present. Okay. We click save. You now see the attendance for Holly Springs Residential. We have that attendance type. And now we can create a service authorization in our billing section. And we're just going to pick Holly Springs Residential because that's where we're going. We were going to pick, let's pick Jerry Smith on this one. And we would just begin with that service authorization. If y'all have any questions, please use the chat box to let us know you have a question. I'm going to begin this on the 18th of November, and I'm going to run it on out through November the 17th, just to give a year. We'll add a new service. And I'm going to pull in attendance because, again, that's what I'm needing. It is a daily. We can say that we're going to bill that many units, or we're going to do 365 because we're for a year. And the billing default rate is $150. We can click that total authorized amount. It doesn't matter if we do or not. We need to make sure that our primary diagnosis code is correct, any diagnoses that we have, and then we're going to select attendance. That'll let the system know that we want that attendance there. I'm not going to put any calculations here, but I am going to say that for the day we only want 1, and for the week we want 7. And then I'm going to click save. All right. Oh, I had to have attendance type. I'm sorry. Time in and time out is not required. And I want that Holly Springs attendance. It's nice that it lets you know that you did something wrong, which everybody does occasionally. So now that I have this in here, I can add up how many days I want before it expires, or what percentage of the time is left. I could actually, if they had a PA, I could add that PA here or any other file I needed to have and make comments. I'm going to now approve the service authorization. And now that that is in, I can actually put in new attendance for Jerry. I'm going to put in attendance for the 18th. Pick my attendance type, my service code, and the program. And now you see that I have the ability to put in for Jerry Smith. I have to pick the attendance options, which I set as present or absent. I do not have to put a time in or time out, and now I will click Submit New. If you have the update option, and you can see here it's blue, which means it's in prep. Okay, green is approved and orange is submitted for billing. So I'm going to come in here. I can go into update because I have those privileges. I don't want to update anything. I can go straight to approve, select Jerry, and approve. It's now green and it is approved for billing. To generate the billing data.
Hey, Bunny, before we start on generating billing data, question
Sure.
came up I wasn't sure about. Can attendance be used without using billing?
Can attendance be used without using billing?
Or without billing?
I believe so. Let me look. We're going to double check on that. I believe you have to actually have the billing option in order to use attendance, but can we get an email to verify that and send an answer?
Yes, I'll work on that now.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. You do have some reports that you can look at. You can look up here at attendance type details, and it's going to tell you what your attendance types are. So present is P, and this is again for Holly Springs Residential. Billing units 1, absent A with no billing units, and it's non-billable. So if I want to generate this for billing, I'm going to click on it, make sure I put a check mark beside it. Really cool, you can click on it on the little P, and you can get your attendance details. This was Jerry Smith. Here's the form ID. There's the service date for today, who entered it, who's approving it, and any update history that you have. So I can click Generate Billing Data. It is going to tell me it has successfully been submitted for billing data, and I can click OK. I always ran a report that said attendance report. It's going to come up in a PDF. And if you were doing this for more than a day, of course, you would have all of those across the page. And it also lets, whoever's going to actually submit your claims know that you've approved it and it's ready to go. So we'll go back to the dashboard and we'll talk a little bit more about attendance types. Again, it's in the billing section way down here at the bottom. And we're going to go to new. So let's type in another. We're going to use direct billing units from attendance. We actually kind of did that with a no. Use direct billing attendance. And that's what we did just a few minutes ago. I should have probably told y'all that. But Sorry. The next thing we're going to talk about is this bundling rule. Under the bundling rule, you have to select yes. Bundling. And you would click use bundling rules. And then you have the selection for continuous bundling or daily bundling. Okay. Continuous bundling finds all of the contiguous billing days and creates billing data for each one of them. It's applied when adjacent billing data is considered in a group and billable unit is considered for each group and separate billing data is generated. For daily bundling, this is for attendance types where in and out is required, and you can apply the daily bundling rule. With a daily bundling rule, you can control the resulting billable units depending on the duration, but you must select either a description code or a modifier for that. If you select no here, it is going to change this to continue, and you select use bundling rules. You're going to see that you get a monthly billing option instead of a daily billing option. This gives you the option to specify how many units to bill based on the number of present days. If time in and time out is not required, then you can apply this with the billing rule. It can control the resulting billable units depending on the total units for the whole month. I'm not going to actually show one of these bundling, but you can also use ISP data as supporting documents. Attendance but using the bundling rules, you're able to select the service description code for the targeted service line. So, for example, if an agency, a particular service is provided for 4 or more hours, the attendance entries recorded have intervals within 4 hours, and they can configure these attendance data to bill with hourly units. So, just real quick, we can come in and we can put in continuous billing. And you would give in your option names. Present, and again, you're not going to have time in or time out. And again, you would do absent and take off the billable. Do we have any questions right now? I'm just going over the different sections that you can use. So you also have date range grouping, where you can calculate total units by each day. And again, that's just approved attendance data, and it's going to be calculated separate and then bundled into a single billing data. Let's see. If you take that off, if you use the first, so you have selections here of billing data service date, where you have the start date and the end date as the billing data service date. And then you have use first billable attendance service date and last billable. So you have 2 choices there on what you can use. You also have what is called a leave rule. If you use a leave rule, you have to come over here and set up a leave rule. Same thing with the duration calculation rule. Okay, you have to set those up. So we don't have one in here, but we can create a new one that say it's hospital stay, and they can have up to 3, which would give you 36 for the year. and you can choose calendar or fiscal year, and then you have your service rate, of what you're going to use, if it's a per day, continuous option with the per option, a revenue code. So like in some states, you can send staff with the individual to the hospital, but that would be considered double billing Medicaid because the hospital's billing Medicaid and you're billing Medicaid. But you can actually have a leave rule, and in some states they do allow that. I know they did in the state that I was in. So at a certain time and point. So we're going to go back into this. There's so many attendance types that you can do and use. It all is going to depend on your agency. The cool thing with this use ISP data as supporting document, I already have one set up, but just to show you on here what it looks like, I actually prefer the ISP data. That's my personal preference, not saying anybody has to use that, just saying it's my personal preference. Attendance with ISP support data, this is in my list to show you. So I'm using same program only. So in other words, we could get data from any program, any ISP program from the same site program as the service authorization is created. So if you have an individual who has 5 ISP programs under Holly Springs Residential, we can use any 5 of those programs to collect our data. Any program, if you select that, you're going to be able to use ISP programs for that individual under any program. It doesn't just have to be Holly Springs Residential. The supporting document is where you actually add the specific ISP program that you want added to that as a supporting document in the service authorization. I'm going to show you how to set that up. Again, we just use present and absent for this with no time in and time out required. Any other questions so far? Because we're going to go into doing that service authorization. Again, I'm going to refer you to any of the guides that we have. They walk you through this step by step. They're pretty cool in what they do as far as the bundles and being able to understand everything that you're doing. So here are guides to each one. You can just type in create attendance type, and you have guides to each particular advanced option that you want to use. Okay, with pictures, which is really nice. Okay, so we're going to go back into that billing tab, and we're going to grab the service authorization and new. We're going to go to Holly Springs Residential, and we're going to pick Elizabeth Carter. Again, we're going to give a date range. So we'll start this on November the 4th. And we're going to go to the next year in November and have it end on the 3rd. If you don't have a PA that actually ends, then you don't have to put the end date now. You can run it out several years. It's just something I'm used to doing on there because all of my services had to have a PA. So again, we're going to come in and pull in attendance, which is daily. We're going to give them 365 units, and we'll make this $75 a day. You only have to put in the stuff that has asterisks. We are going to pull in attendance. And our attendance type is going to be, I'm going to try to find one where nothing is required. So we're going to do this attendance with supporting ISP data. And to add a specific program, we're going to come in, and these are all of Elizabeth's programs. We're just going to add this water temperature check one because I know it's fairly simple to fill out. And now that is attached to that. And I'm writing that down so I know which one to document on. You can click on your enable rate history so you can go back and find out what your rate history is on that. We're a day, so we don't have a up or down on your automatic calculation rules. We're going to go 1 unit per day and 7 per week. We could ignore, restrict, and continue, or block if authorization units per period is exceeded. We're not going to do any of that right now. We're going to ignore. We're going to hit save. So now Elizabeth has a service off, and we're going to click approve. And now the fun stuff begins because now we're going to input some data. So I'm going to go to her data page and find her. And I'm going to put in new data for that particular ISP program. I'm going to cheat and go back to Monday. So I'm going to put in just some times. This is the boring stuff. I know, I'm sorry. And yes, it was, and we're going to say it was 118. Now here you have the choice of billable, yes or no. So yes, comments, and submit. That's what your staff is going to put in. They've supported that particular piece with ISP programming. And now they're going to go to the billing tab, if you've given them the proper permissions, and they're going to click attendance and new. They want to go back to the 18th because that's when we put it in. We picked attendance with ISP supporting data with the service code and Holly Springs Residential, and we're going to click search. You'll notice that I have 2 people here. One is Elizabeth and one is Olivia. Olivia already has data in and it's already been input and approved. So I'm going to put in Elizabeth's. I have to pick an attendance option. I do not have to put time in and time out because that is not required. I could put in a comment if I wanted to. And I'm going to submit new. Okay. And that's what I'm going to do as staff. What I'm going to do as a supervisor or a Q, I'm going to come in and I'm going to look at this approve. And you can see here, there is a little 1 right there. And what that little 1 means is that there is supporting ISP documentation for this particular attendance documentation. If I click on this and approve it, I now see that I have supporting ISP documentation for attendance. Now I have another one I want to show you that I've done already. I want to show you what it looks like when you do not have the supporting documentation. I'm going to go for 2. Nope, I'm going to go to here. What's that one? Sorry. Again, you have to choose all the things that are in red asterisks or it's going to tell you no. Now we have Jerry Smith. You can see that it is grayed out. And this is not the right one. I do apologize. I've already generated him. It was Olivia. I'm so sorry. I'm going to put in those days again. I have a date range for her. Okay. So you'll see it's over on the other end. I'm so sorry. Here we go. So on the 18th, we had one piece of supporting ISP documentation. Now, on the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have none. So this is not something I would want to approve for generating billing data until I could go back to that ISP program and I can hit this extra information report. Or I'm supposed to be able to. Computer's running just a touch slow. There's no extra information. But what I want to know is I want to know what particular ISP program is this coming from. I can look that up in my service auth to see which one it is. I would need to go back to that individual who's supposed to be putting in that daily documentation and make sure they put that in. When they do that, this is going to change from 0 to 1. So this is on Olivia. So what we can do is, if I'm the staff, I've called them and I've said, hey, you need to go in and uh-oh. Devin, can you hear me?
Bonnie,
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now. It looks like your screen is frozen up as well.
Well, my internet, we had a storm come through just a few minutes ago. So let me try to connect somewhere else. Hold on.
Okay.
I am so sorry,
Sorry for the
everybody.
inconvenience.
Am I back now?
Yes, Bonnie.
Okay, great. Are y'all back on my dashboard with billing and attendance and see my cursor kind of going in a circle? Okay. So, again, I do apologize for that. Did not mean for that to happen. So what I would do is I would go back and have my staff come in and put in the rest of the documentation for Olivia. And this was on her grocery skills. And they needed to come in and put some data in for the 20th and the 19th also. But I'm going to show you how that works. Just by coming in and filling out this information, making it now when I go to the dashboard as the end of it, they still need to come in. They put in their attendance, they just did not put in their ISP programming. So they come into billing, I do, as a supervisor, and now I'm going to pull in those dates again for Olivia. And when I go to approve it, you're now going to see that she has put in information for the 20th. It's a pretty cool tool to make sure that your staff is putting in the information required to meet the billing standards for your state. Okay. Any questions before we go into updating? You can come in here and update information for the individuals if we found out that the reason why there was no documentation is because, let me do that again, is because she was absent, but they accidentally marked it as present. We could come in here, make a comment. Goodness, was absent this day, no documentation to support services, and then you would click update. And now you'll see that it's absent, and there's a little comment box that you can look and see what the comments were that we just wrote. Okay. All right. So any questions on updating that? We're now going to come in and we're going to approve all of this is ready to go. And we would generate our billing. Clicking on both of our individuals, even though we don't have anything right here, we're going to do it anyway. And we would generate our billing data. It's going to ask you, are you sure? Because you do not have sufficient ISP data count, and we're going to just say okay today. It's going to tell you that it was successfully submitted and that it was no billing data was generated because of insufficient count. So now we know that we're not going to be able to bill that. And it is in there for whoever generates our billing. We can run this little attendance report right here. Love this report because it tells us, well, if we made it bigger for you to actually see. Okay. It has an attendance report, how many days they were here, how many days they were absent. And you can keep, it's just a nice little report to see what you're missing on your billing, because nobody wants to miss any billing at all. All right. So let's see. Where do we want to go next? We want to look at reports. So we're going to pull our guide back up and show you the reports that you can run. attendance reports. And here they are. You have an attendance report, which is what we just ran. The extra information report. Which is right here. It shows any comments associated with the report, the attendance report. And then you have a statistics report. That is an Excel report that shows the count of each attendance option for a specific date range. We'll pull that up real quick and let you see that. Okay. Takes a minute for Excel to open up. And you see that we have Olivia and she has three presents, one absent, and you have Elizabeth with one present and one absent. So that's just your statistics report that can be ran. You have a daily summary report. And I've got to find that. If I could spell. Let's look that up. I believe that is in the report library. There you go, your summary. So we're going to search for, we got to narrow that search down for attendance with supporting documentation. We're going to want that start date and end date. So I did 2 weeks. We're going to leave the status there, make it approved. And these are all the search options that you have. It's a lot of them. We're going to put all those over there and we're going to run that report. So we can do an attendance summary search and find out, the individual's name, the service code, present, yes, no, durations of minutes, if that is a requirement for your particular attendance. Okay. One more thing here. I want to go back. All right. Okay. Any questions so far? Y'all are all very quiet today. I can show some more options under service authorizations. We can look at attendance reports in the agency report library. See if that one's there. Yep. So we can just type in attendance, billing, and hit search. We have an attendance billing summary report, calculates units for a full day rather than each sessions. Do not search more than one date range. Can we see a time in and time out example? Yes, you can. So we're going to go back to the billing tab. We're going to do attendance and new. I think I have one in here. Attendance. Yes. So I'm going to put him as present. This is Roland Butler. I'm going to put the time in and time out. Oh, I don't know why that put 10 p.m., but okay. a.m. and we're going to go out at 2 p.m. And this, we're going to hit submit new. That's one way you can do it. So now you see your time in and your time out. And I'm going to show you the other way where you actually do a service authorization from your billing attendance type. New. Time in and time out is required. For the entire day or for each session, you can do both. I will do for each session. Let's call it time in, time out. And we're just going to make this simple. We're going to put present with a P, absent with an A, and make it non-billable. And we're going to go down here and hit save. You can make this as simple as you want or as complicated as you want. And we call that time in, time out. So now we'll have to make a service authorization because you have to have that to be able to document. So we'll do that new service authorization. If you can't tell, I like Holly Springs Residential Services. We'll do Sally Jones. We're going to give her a begin date of the 18th. We're going to go all the way out so we don't have to put in a amount. We're going to add the new service. This is the important part. If you don't add the service, then you're not doing yourself any good. So we'll just put in a number of units because we went so far out and $45 a day. We're going to click that attendance. Okay. And now we're going to add that time in and time out that the time was required. That's the most important part, is making sure that you select that attendance type so your staff will know what to do. We don't have to do any of that stuff right now. We're going to click save. Oh, wait a minute, I have to do something. What did I miss? Automatic calculation rule. Oh. Do that. Well, goodness. We'll do 1 hour. I'm getting a little antsy here, apparently. I didn't click none again. Again, at least it doesn't let you go any further if you make a mistake, which apparently I'm really good at. Okay, so now I have that service authorization for Sally Jones, and my staff can come in and actually put in, they're going to want time in, time out, because that's what we chose. Attendance for Holly Springs Residential, and we're going to search. And Sally Jones should be the only one that shows up, and she is. We're doing this for today. So they have to pick present. They have to pick a time. I'll do it this way because the other way was not as easy. And we'll just pick now, and it's supposed to put in now's time. Make sure we check it, and we're going to submit new. One reason why I wanted to show you this way is because we chose to have different times throughout the day to be able to use. So in an incident where you're in a day service program and the state does not allow you to bill for lunch, you can actually come in and click on this. You're supposed to be able to. Oh, update. And you can now put in another time. So they went out at 2:19, and let's say they come back in at 3 o'clock. And they left at 5. Sounds like us sometimes. Click on that, click update. And now there's 2 times for that particular person, and they're going to gather that time. Okay? Did that help with the answer to show you how to do that? Do I have any other questions today? Do I need to go over something else? I'm going to give y'all a couple of seconds or minutes or whatever you decide you need. Attendance billing is really a nice option. I really do like that supporting documentation with it not letting it be able to go to billing, generate a billing without that particular option, without that particular documentation there. So Sheila said that answered her question. You can reach out to any of the people in your billing or your billing specialist for any questions. I'm more than happy for you to reach out to me. My email is bonnie.sorrells@therapservices.net. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. We'll be glad to help you. Devin, thank you for joining us today. I hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you next time.